Hey, this is Marsh from Consequence. Just gonna go over the Stone Legion General kill. I've had some people reach out to me and ask how we did it, how we did it in our pull account, why we made the decisions we made, um, and kind of like the comp we went for. Something to note is our strat might not be meta. And I'll kind of explain both strategies. And probably the strategy that the majority of guilds are going for, which is not this, but a lot of the decision making and what we did also applies to that strategy as well. Also, our strat revolved around comp a lot, and we'll go into that. And one thing also to note is we did maybe like 110 pulls pre-nerf, and then it got nerfed, and then we did, I don't know, I think we killed like 170 or 180 pulls or something, maybe 170. So the rest of those pulls were post-nerf. Um, So that kind of changes the way of the fight. So if you're looking for a pre-nerf video, obviously this is not what's going to be, but I assume if you're watching this video, you'll be doing this post-nerf. Um, so kind of to go through what we went for here, and a lot of this decision making came from pre-nerf strategy. And I know not every guild is going to be able to replicate what we did. So just from a comp standpoint, um, 3 Resto Shamans, 2 DKs is kind of the staple of the comp. Everything else kind of depends on what damage spread you want to have and your soaks in the last 2 phases. Um, a lot of classes work in this situation if you're not, but you'll see why the 2 DKs is important later. I know that a lot of guilds don't have 2 DKs, and you'll just have to find ways to work around that, and I can kind of talk about that as well. So just to start here, this is pretty standard on start. Some guilds will tank it anywhere around this area. Um, we just pull the boss over here, and I mark myself just as a stack point. That's mostly for P2. When you configure bigwigs, a lot of the markers get taken by the like mechanics of the fight. So I had to keep remarking myself um, because all the other markers were taken. But again, that can just depend on like what you select in bigwigs or DBM. So also note I am insanely tired when we are doing this prog. I'm literally like half asleep. So a lot of people really stepped up. This is probably like one of the bosses I was least prepared for. Um, anyway, we lust on pull, and oh, the video's gonna get a little choppy. We lust on pull, um, and the reason for that is because that's kind of how we progged pre-nerf. There's a lot of internal discussion on like if we should lust on pull or not, because Lust on Pull kind of enabled us to cheese the intermission. Um, and I'll talk about that in a second. We never tried to do it without Lust. It's probably possible for your guilds. Um, I'm assuming the meta strat's going to be lusting in the last phase on the first skirmisher set, but you'll kind of see like what our lust decision did. It kind of made our last phase a little longer, which is the easiest part of the fight. But video's a little choppy here, but anyway, the first crystallize comes out, and you'll see like our healing cooldowns go out here. So you have the paladin and the shaman using their stuff. The reason for this is because, oops, yep, everyone in. Yeah, so my call was basically everyone the debuff in, everyone in. It's really important that people are clearing their debuffs at all times. Your cooldown allocation needs to be determined by your group. Um, Resto Shaman again is just really good because Spirit Link kind of counters a lot of the damage spreads, and you're mostly stacked this fight. So this is the second Goliath. The video got choppy, so I switched. The goal here is we killed first skirmishers with the cooldowns. So like the majority of us use cooldowns on skirmishers because we wanted them in P2. And the goal here is we want to push the Goliath into the intermission. So the boss we keep it in sometimes, out other times. It really depends on your boss HP because you don't want to push with this stuff up. Um, I'm not going to talk about like the pre-nerf timings and things like that because it's useless. But we go skull, then X or blue depending on what's lower, and then the other one. So you see me here just blasting in the skull. Sometimes I'd hit like X or blue just to like make ensure that one of the two of them is lower, but that's just an adjustment we made. So we want to push after this crystallize, and we want to bring the Goliath into the next phase. So we have one more skirmisher left, and if you listen to our comms, I'm probably saying push the boss, because what we're going to do here, and AMZ is really, really good for this strategy. If you have a single DK, this might be a problem, or even no DKs. Um, so we're going to phase, which we already did. And this Goliath, because he is coming into the phase, is actually going to drop an orb. So this was like kind of our little P1 intermission cheese. I didn't see many guilds doing this. I think some are starting to adapt it now. Um, it definitely existed when we did it. It was just very uncommon, and we kind of just came up with it ourselves. So it's not like some cutting edge like thing. It's just like, hey, this Goliath drops an orb. It makes P1 intermission quicker. We should do it. So by grabbing this, a demon hunter or monk or someone would just take it who didn't have the heart rend debuff and then just go dunk it. So you have to have warlock here, and all the melee are gonna use these, focus mech or the focus the gateway. You just dodge red stuff, and with this strategy, you just take wicked blades this way. You don't really want to cross this line because it will knock you back. We have the tanks pick up the commandos, and then when they swap, they bring them over. And pre-nerf, you'd go on 5 commandos. Post-nerf, would go on 3 commandos. 3 is a little more consistent because the commandos can drop at different rates. And I don't look up anymore, but you can look up in the sky and see when they're coming down. So eventually I just kind of like, once we swap to this strat, I mean, we had to wait for 3 no matter what. And usually the third one would not be that delayed. Um, so as you can see here, the Goliath dropped 3. We'd already dunked it. So you'll hear me in comms be like 3, 2, 1, go. And we're just blasting the Goliath. Well, I'm blasting the Goliath and cleaving. You want to break these shields. The shields got nerfed, so that's why I'm really just hitting the Goliath, because this healing debuff's kind of annoying. Like, he could have been in danger. Um, this crystallize also kind of comes out at a random time. You run this out and then grip, so you see him, and he's going to get gripped in. This is a weak aura that shows who has an orb, and like the raid leader or the person assigned to do it needs to call when they're going. So I didn't do this set because pre-nerf, when there was 5, damage mattered, so our tank did it, and he just kind of just kept doing it. And the call is usually going to be, you know, player 1 go, player two's next, player three's next. I'll play sound in the second phase when I actually do it. But this crystallize gets gripped. If you have a single priest, um, they can take a gateway when they get the debuff. It's kind of risky though. Being a human, if you're alliance, like alliance racials are nuts. Like in general for this raid, they're just super OP. Goliath jumps on you, you can alliance racial or human racial. Sorry, human racials for this fight especially. Crystallize, you can human racial. It's like crazy good. So I was a human in this fight. I'm a dwarf on Sire for other reasons, but then we're just gonna kill these one at a time. So we're breaking the shield, and I still have this marker on me, and you'll hear people in comms be like, okay, go stack. So we want to stack here. And this is the first read of the fight. So do the spell queuing. This Wicked Blade is either going to come now, already be out, or like happening in 10 seconds. So we have our Balance Druid pick it up, and he's making a judgment call on when to dunk. So in this situation, Wicked Blades is coming. It's honestly like under 5 seconds. It could just come out anyway, do the spell queuing. So we're waiting for the blades, and the blades will just go right behind us here. So you see, we're waiting for blades, we're waiting for blades. There they go. 1-2 hit. Once the Balance Druid sees him come in, he dunks, easy. So you want to kind of make a read on that. When this next phase happens, you're gonna just blast Skull, and it spawns to the left. And we're just annihilating Skull because once the first Goliath comes out, we're all going Goliath. The skirmishers work where if you, I think it's 20%. If you push it under 20%, we'll find out here. I think it's 20. Yeah. When you push under 20%, it starts blowing winds, but the winds stack. So if two skirmishers are under 20, you're getting blown back pretty hard. If three are under 20, you're like barely staying on the platform. So we nuke one down, and then once Goliath spawns, we hard swap Goliath because the I think the second Goliath jump will just like one shot people. So before they nerfed the Goliath health, the shamans were really, really good at it. Crystallize is done normally. We're just AoEing down the remaining skirmishers. And then we have a weak aura here. Everyone has the weak aura with the note that's going to assign people to go the markers. And this is our list. If you read the weak aura text, I'm not going to go over how. I mean, I guess I can kind of go over how I set this up. We double mage would be really good at the first one, but hunter's like fine, I guess. So you kind of saw me like use classes that are good at doing it. Like mage can get there and is safe. Hunter with the feign death conduit, and like they're pretty safe as well. It's kind of hard for hunter to get to the second one, which you'll see me do. I gave it to myself. Um, Balanced druids will never die to it. Bear form. Resto shamans are really tanky with some of their setup. And DH is tanky. One optimization that I could have done, but it didn't end up being a problem, is I had three shamans soaking this side, so they couldn't heal anyone on this side. So it was up to the other two healers to heal them. Anyway, we use this weak aura. We stack up. I'm always the focal point on where the stack. And you make a read on the weak aura. We wipe to this more than I would like. Um, you can go into weak auras and make the arrow bigger. Like if you look at some of the other VODs from our kill from other players, this weak aura is like 3 times bigger than this. But if you go the wrong way, don't be overly scared to just commit and then cut forward. Like if you go the wrong way and hesitate, it's better to go right and better to go right and commit right than hesitate after you make a decision. Because if you go right, realize you don't have it, then go left, you're 100% dead. Anyway, we do this, and it's the same thing. We're nuking Goliath, and then it's going to be back on Skull. So this phase is all like dealing with ads. There's a few push timers you can go for. Oh, my video is freezing again. There's a few push timers you can go for, but it's just safer just to stay on ads because you have seismic upheaval coming here, and sorry, crystallize and seismic upheaval. So you really don't want triple wins or even like double wins going on here. Um, See how like blue's about to die before we get double wins, so it's easy for the people to debuff to get in, and then everyone get in. And then we're gonna stack immediately. Regarding cooldowns, like that's just something you have to work out in your guild. Like who's gonna cooldown what set of skirmishers and Goliaths and stuff. There's really no advice I can give you. It really depends on what you're going for push timer wise and where you're struggling. So like with DKs, we were able to grip in the skirmishers, which is really, really important. Without DKs, that might be difficult. Anyway, we stack up, make a raid easy. And then one thing to note, I haven't gotten it yet, but some groups like to like rotate around the boss. That was good in like World 20 raiding. Go in a straight line. It's easier to execute. It's harder to die. Yeah, you lose uptime. It doesn't matter. Just stay alive. Wicked Blades go back, and then you soak. So this one's easy for me. I'm already pre-positioned. One of the reasons why it's hard for Hunter is because if I had upheaval there, I need to get over here. I can soul shape, I can disengage. There's options I have, but I start losing options when I use options, I guess is the easiest way of saying it. So, I didn't get a trick shot proc. That's unfortunate, or I didn't register trick shots, but that's kind of the thing. Anyway, we're nuking down Skull here, and we have a wins and upheaval. So this is like one of the first annoying combos of this phase. So again, you don't want double wins. So we only have single wins going right now, and Skull will die. So once this is over, and we kind of let the winds, see how we're letting the winds carry us? We're fighting it a little, but nothing crazy. You just let the winds carry, and that's it. Anyway, we're killing X, but and blue here. Blue was called, then X. Easy. Now, the Goliath's coming. As you can see here, there's an APT totem down. With the nerfs, it's not as important. This is like pre-nerf, where we would never make this check, and this dude would just one-shot someone. But with post-nerf, the APTs became less valuable. I'd still definitely assign them in the hard spots, but again, it depends on your guild's damage spread and where they use them. Anyway, we pull the boss out here because we want to do this skirmisher set before we push. So some guilds have the damage to push before the skirmishers. We could have done it if we changed some stuff around, but we just found this part of P2 really easy. So there was no point in doing it. So you just get blades and skirmishers, and we're just nuking Skull. And we stack up and move. See, I'm just going in like mostly a straight line. I'm a little ahead of the group. It doesn't really matter. Like you go in a straight line, it's free. So to transition the boss here, you get soaks. Yep. And winds are going to start. So one thing to note is I position myself a little up here, knowing that the winds, if I like came down here and the wind started blowing, it could have pushed me out. So I always knew the winds would push me there, so I would cheat up a little. Anyway, we want this crystallize here. Yeah, we want this crystallize right before the phase. So it queued in, get the crystallize phase, and that's how we do it. Because you want to clear your debuffs going in. So now I know there's a soak. Yep, so I immediately knew. And you'll hear the comms. This is like a pretty long intermission. I don't even need to feign death all these anymore. That's how much gear you just randomly got. But we're literally just hitting Goliath, and we don't want to push Goliath past 30% until we're ready. And we're going to start stacking up these commandos. So we don't want to AoE till after the soaks. So regardless of what happens, and also APT totem. I think this is going to be the second jump. So this pre-nerf would definitely one-shot someone. Post-nerf, you can probably heal it. If you're human, you can just racial and like keep yourself up. So like I don't think I get jumped on this fight, but I could literally human racial in an exil and live most of the time. So you see us kind of getting the Goliath low. I think, yep, and we do our soaks. Oh, my stream's freezing again. All right, so then you'd hear like after soaks, 3, 2, 1, go. And I'll turn on sound for this.
Plus your
Oops, that's way too loud.
standing range. Move away ranged.
So
Range?
you'll hear like range move away because we were having problems with range picking up orbs and them not knowing like how to handle the mechanic since it's really melee mechanic. We move the gateway from here to here, and the melee all need to focus it.
Move away.
Range, do you have?
And then notice how we take blades, and we've been doing this the whole phase. I just didn't mention it. We take blades back here, so you'll see him. He'll go here.
All the room in the world, there's no dunks right
Blade,
now.
blade, here. Bench.
6 go.
No.
And then you'll hear me say 6 go because I see in the weak aura he's the first one to grab it. After 6 is Apo. And then yep, after.
Tech is cosmic.
We grip
Then this is a grip because we don't have enough soakers with the dunkers and it's like too much damage. Plus you have this coming up.
Cosmic go.
Notice how this knocks you back. So these guys are waiting until the guy flies over them to take the gateway.
I got boss.
Anyway, soaks come out.
Yeah.
Notice how the eruption, you always read the weak aura. Always read the weak aura. Soak orange, always. Here, Star, this guy with Star comes late, and you see our rogue try to come and make it. So the rogue goes in orange. I didn't notice this, by the way. This is really good by him. In our kill. I turtle extinct, like, it goes through immunities. I just turtled because that's just like a hunter thing. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna turtle. So I'm like, shit, he's gonna miss it. Let me take both. Um, he dies. This guy's trying to back up, and this guy's trying to back up. So these guys get the soaks, but I also get the soaks and die, which
Back, you can
causes
raise
a
and buy.
double
You can
res.
raise and buy.
Something.
But it's
Hit that
fine.
by
We have
one.
2
Hit that by one.
reses.
First it.
And now we're doing these one at a time. So it soaks, then we kill these one at a time. We're not trying to AoE anything down. We mark one, we nuke, we take, he just goes. He has the gateway debuff, so he just walks over and dunks it. He gets knocked back. We have soaks again. See, I'm just literally AFK. I'm doing nothing. This time I feigned death, but I was a little scared this time. Yep, we target down another one. Cosmic gets it. He goes. We do blades. Another one's marked. We're waiting for this. This is the big wait. So this is group soaks. Anyone the debuff in, everyone in. The commando's chilling. No one's hitting it. It's fine. We're doing soaks first. Star starts to despawn. He's going the star. And now when we're back in, we're like, okay, now push now. So we're pushing, breaking the shield. We got blades. Any of the melee pick it up. Or I guess AC picks it up. That's fine. Then we run over here, and we're waiting for the blades people to get back in. All you have to do is dunk before this really comes out. So they're in. He's going to dunk. I re-augment rune there. That's why I have my bags open. So, and now into this phase, it's very easy. So once you master this P2 and kind of get the dance down, P2 is easy. So this crystallizes group. So a lot of groups literally lust right out of this. I assume they might wait for the first explosions, but they're gonna lust early in the fight. Now, my wild spirits wasn't assigned here, but I ended up doing this because we had troubles killing skirmishers in the first set, and that's because we just didn't have lust. So I don't care about damage parsing at all on prog. Like I just don't even think about it. And I know that if I can nuke Skull, we'll kill the boss if the soaks are done properly. So I use all my CDs here, even though there's movement and things like that. I'm just trying to kill Skull. I'm looking for backups if someone's missing. But now, because we kill Skull, we're not in threat of triple wins during seismic. And we're able to get X down really before this becomes a problem. So we're only getting single wins here. Now once these dead, most guilds' lust would be falling off here, but ours is still not up, as you can see. We're gonna do the soaks, and then we're gonna lust on the second skirmishers. So we do soaks. I start feigning these later ones. And now everyone's using their cooldowns and pots and stuff. Now I don't have any because I used them on the first skirmisher set, but again, it doesn't really matter. We're still clearing our debuffs here. And we're nuking Skull. So you'll hear our comments be like nuke Skull, nuke Skull, nuke Skull, because you don't want to push triple wins ever. So if Skull dies, we're in the clear. We're still targeting down X because we know that if we can just deal with the skirmisher set, the fight's over. And double wins, yep, into single wins. Wow, I really don't get a lot of seismics this pool. These two bosses have to die at the same time, so you'll hear me say target call, and I pre stand at my soak. You don't want to do this every time. I have soul shape and uh, disengage. If I had the drop over here or something, I know I could have made it. That's why I did that. Anyway, this is our second to last, but basically our last. And then we're gonna stack up. And depending on the boss HP, Blades always to the right. Always to the right. No one is in this area. The hitbox for Blades is really big for melee. They get cleaved all the time in our prog, or they got cleaved. Even range got cleaved. These skirmisher sets we ignore because we just don't want wins and the fight's over. This is gripped because why get stunned when you can kill the boss? And then we have one more soaks here. Um, we just get backups if needed, and that's it. That's GG's. So that's basically the fight in a nutshell. And looking at logs, I mean, you can see our lust timers. Kind of looking at like what skirmisher sets are being hit is important. So, for example, like these guys, were probably blasting their CDs on this one, right? Like where do you want your damage? Where is it important? Um, who's going to do what in the assignments? And once you like kind of understand that and like learn to deal with the Goliaths and the seismic, the fight isn't too bad. Memorizing the P2 spell queuing, well, P2 intermission spell queuing is really important. Um, Learning how to focus a gateway and calling gateways is also very important. You didn't see it in this pool, but the weak aura would turn gray when someone had Wicked Blades and an orb. The big orb from the Goliath does a lot of damage, so that person might need to pop a personal or a Hellstone or something. And Wicked Blades plus holding an orb is living hell, so you definitely have to react to that. Again, you'll probably see a lot of guilds not lust here and just lust like here. It really depends on your strat. Other than that, I don't really have any input on healing and tanking. You'd have to kind of look at what they do. You have to swap in the intermission now. That wasn't a thing pre-nerf. Um, Healing CDs and things like when do you want your DRs and stuff is very, very, very important. So I'll have the YouTube video of the kill, and I'll have this VOD up. You can always ask me any questions if you get stuck. But as I said, the meta could be changing, and I don't know it because we're almost down with Denathrius, but we kind of killed it really quickly after nerf. So other than that, that's all I got. So everyone have a good day and peace.